Okay. Now it's being live streamed. Thanks everybody for coming. We have 44 people right now that have come, and good to see you all, and hope you drive safely. And we're going to have 4 different programs tonight. First one is going to be Patty Ferguson, and Patty is going to tell us a little bit about her trip that she took, and then I'll show it. I'll show it.
That's where I am, right there.
Okay.
No, on that little arrow.
I need
there.
people's audio off, okay? Because it's coming through. So audio off, except for Patty. All right. So Patty, you're going to be answering questions at the end if there are any. And if anybody has a chat question, look at the bottom of your screen. You can click on that, type in a question, so I can ask Patty that at the end. All right. So Patty, why don't you tell us a little bit about your video?
I will. Thank you, Paul. For those of you that don't know, I was born and raised in Lima, Peru. My mother was Peruvian, my dad American. And when they retired, they went back to Peru to live. And I would go down once or twice a year to visit them. In 2020, my dad turned 101. And my brother and sister that live in Atlanta and I decided to go down to help celebrate his birthday. I have a brother that lives there. And things were exploding here in the States, COVID-wise, but there was nothing going on in Peru or South America. So this is my trip to Peru in March of 2020. Thank you, Paul.
All right, good. So remind me, if I don't do it, I need to turn off my video. We'll do it right now.
And me too.
And everybody turns off their video. I still see some. Now I'm going to start Patty's program. If your video is not turned off, you're going to show somewhere on the screen. Okay, here we go.
Why would anybody want to go to Lima, Peru, the spring of 2020? We've been monitoring the news, and so far, no cases of coronavirus in Lima. Safe to travel. We traveled down to Lima to celebrate my dad's 101st birthday. After our first few days in Lima, we realized that things were beginning to slow down. Schools were closed, activities were monitored. Even the beaches are now almost empty. This is prime summertime. Beaches are usually full of swimmers. A trip to the local market found very few people outside, all of the shelves stocked, full of fruits and vegetables. Even the pig was masked up. Nighttime was the same story. Almost nobody in the parks. You can see very few cars and pedestrians. March 15th, a state of emergency was declared. All the borders were to be closed March 16th, curfew imposed, and everyone quarantined. What this meant was now that people flocked to the local supermarkets. Military and the police were deployed. Masks were required. Long lines everywhere. The curfew hours were from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, with major police and military present on the streets making sure nobody violated curfew. This is the first day of the state of emergency. Only people allowed outside was 1 per household and only allowed for essentials, groceries, pharmacy, bank, care for the elderly. We even had a blackout. Thank God my dad's apartment had a generator. Even the birds were fleeing Peru. Here's a huge migration of the birds flying north. Not sure why. This is March 19th, day 2 of the state of emergency. This is a line of people waiting to get into the supermarket. It was about a mile and a half walk from my dad's. Here I am leaving the market after my daily shopping As you can see, everybody's wearing a mask, trying to social distance, and some military present in the corner. People seem to be behaving quite nicely. The walk back to my dad's, still empty streets everywhere. This is March 19th p.m. Police parade ensuring people were obeying the curfew. This is day 4, and here you see the police presence ensuring that people had a reason to be out and that all the quarantine rules were being abided. The news that afternoon was that the body of a man was found in his apartment and he had died from the coronavirus. That apartment was across the way from my dad's apartment. It's almost too close to home. Another glorious sunset. My brother and I spent hours at that balcony just taking photographs of sunsets. Yeah, it's day 5, March 21st. A parade of police vehicles going down the street. Don't know why, but at least it was something exciting to watch that day. And now I'm getting ready to walk to the supermarket. As you can see, there's nobody out in the street. Military checking people's documentations to ensure that they were not out illegally. And now here are some pictures inside the market. As you can see, a lot of toilet paper. All of the shelves are fully stocked. Fruits, vegetables, even the meat and chicken, tons of food. There was not a shortage of anything at the supermarket by my dad's. And here's a lady all stocked riding home on her bicycle. Now back at my dad's apartment in the evening, waiting for another glorious sunset, close of another day.
The 8 p.m. curfew cheering Peru on, going on, getting louder.
Getting caught by the police after curfew, not a good thing. March 22nd, government hazmat team sent to clean apartment where man had died from the virus.
Well, happy birthday, President Vizcarra. Hopefully you are not breaking curfew.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Here's day 8, a police bus going down the street. Here I am standing for my daily trip to the supermarket. Police in the loudspeaker telling people to stay home for the curfew. March 25th, day 9 in Lima. My brother and I spent over an hour watching this young boy take all these crates of food out of the van and then put them back into the van while he's being supervised by the man with the clipboard, then make a U-turn, drive 2 buildings down the street to take crates back out so that they could deliver groceries to the apartment next to my dad's. Excitement for the day. This is day 10 of being in Peru quarantined. Just some activity in front of my dad's apartment. Not much going on today. This is the daily briefing with President Vizcarra, and the bad news just continues. He has extended the state of emergency until April the 12th. And here are members of his cabinet tentatively listening to everything he said. Here's day 11, stuck in Peru. Same lines in front of the supermarket. Same military presence checking vehicles. Same empty streets. Not much has changed. My dad's fabulous nurses not only took great care of him, but also of my brother and I. Here's a look of the great Peruvian cuisine they cooked for us. What a great way to start the morning. Here's just a little taste of the breakfast that my brother and I had on my dad's balcony overlooking the ocean. And now we'll give you just a glimpse of the fine Peruvian cuisine we had for lunch. Lomo saltado, arroz con pollo, papa a la huancaína with spaghetti, ají de gallina. Oh, ceviche, my mouth is watering. Steak, rice, fried egg with this fried banana. End of day 13, another beautiful sunset.
Well, good morning. Sunday, March 29th. day 14 of being trapped here in Lima, but another gorgeous morning. Hear the ocean, my God. I don't know when was the last time I ever heard the ocean from Mom and Dad's apartment.
Here the police talking to an individual that they had found hiding in the bushes by the hillside. 6 p.m. on day 14, going to be another beautiful sunset. And here is the moon over Lima. Day 15, another daily briefing by the president and more bad news. The curfew will now be from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. Here are the neighbors trying to get their dogs to do their business a couple of hours earlier. March 31st, day 16, and the excitement for the day is watching all these police officers walking up and down this hill looking for God knows who, some violator of some curfew law. But at least it gives my brother and I something to watch for the day. And here are the morning dog walkers. These two dogs haven't learned about social distancing yet. If it's a daily briefing with the president, it just can't be good news. Police talking to dog walkers, more police walking down the street. Daily activity since this damn virus hit Lima.
This is March 31st, 2020, 6 p.m. It is the new hours of the curfew, 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. and things are pretty quiet. All the dogs have been walked, peed and pooped. Everybody's in. Well, it looks like it's 3 busloads of somebody off to the airport. Well, they're getting out. Or what about us?
Now it's April the 1st, 17th day in Lima. The lines are still long to get to the supermarket, checkpoints by the military, and now people getting in line for the banks. Essential workers watering the trees and the plants by the hillside. And the police talking to a guy on a bicycle and a jogger. I guess they're okay because they're still riding the bike and jogging.
This is what Lima sounds like during curfew at 6:30 p.m. Not a soul, not a car. 18 days state of emergency. About 7:30 in the morning. Nice morning. Here is my mom and dad's apartment. This is where my brother and I have been trapped for now 16 days since they declared a state of emergency. Here's the elevator entrance. Living room. Sharp left into the kitchen. By far the best thing in this apartment, the view. We're going through the dining room. It's $1 million view right here. My brother and I have spent hours watching almost nobody go by, waiting to be freed from Lima. I'll show you the rest of this gorgeous apartment. Go back inside. There's the living room. We're back at the entrance again. Little bathroom. And the hallway to the back 3 bedrooms.
This is my brother's bedroom, and markings on the wall marking the days that we had been stuck in Lima. April 2nd, the dreaded presidential briefing. Starting April the 3rd, only males allowed in the streets on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and females on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, and no one out in the streets on Sunday. Upon hearing this news, my brother and I packed our stuff and took a cab to the Polo Hotel located across the street from the American Embassy to see if we could get ourselves put on one of the repatriation flights leaving Lima. Once we checked into the hotel, we found out we were actually on a flight leaving April the 4th.
This is the video from our hotel. We're right across from the American Embassy, where we will go tomorrow and figure out about our flight out of here on Saturday. And as you can see, there is nobody out in these streets either. It's about 20 minutes till 6 p.m. Thursday.
The sunset from the hotel was not nearly as pretty as the one from my dad's balcony.
Here we are at the end of the line of the embassy. People at the embassy trying to get a flight out of here. Today is Friday, day 19. I would imagine that none of these people have a confirmed seat on any plane going anywhere out of Peru. And there's got to be 200 to 300 people in line right now.
My brother and I were really glad that we got to the embassy a day early because it gave us a chance to scope out the location, see how things were being organized, to see how organized or unorganized the embassy personnel was, and kind of get a feel of how you check in, where you take your luggage, where the buses are that will take us to the Air Force Base for our flight to Dulles on the next day. Here's the end of the line of the people that were in line on April the 3rd. Here's a list of things that we needed to fill out. And now here come the buses that are taking the people to the airport. Well, not the airport, but the Air Force Base, which is just north of the airport, so that they can catch their flight out of Lima on Friday. Yahoo! April the 4th, Saturday, our last day in Lima. Our last breakfast at the Polo Hotel before my brother and I walk across the street to the American Embassy. Here the embassy personnel is getting their debriefing. Here my brother and I are first in line, ready to get checked in so that we can catch the bus to take us to the Air Force Base. Oh my God, we're on the bus. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. All the buses are full. Sigh of relief. My God, the streets are just as empty. I've never seen the streets in Lima this empty. It's kind of an eerie feeling to be driving around. There'd be nobody on the streets. Here are the ladies in line. Remember Saturday, girls' day only. We just drove by the international airport on the way to the Air Force Base, just north of the airport. Here are the buses in line waiting to get approval to enter the Air Force Base. The U.S. military and embassy personnel were extremely organized in getting everybody seated with their luggage in rows of folding chairs. We never found out who this guy was in his little hazmat outfit, very scary, but he did check every row and all the suitcases. And here's a very cute beagle, handsome boy, explosive sniffing dog. He checked out every single person and every single suitcase. Felt very, very safe. Boy, this is a sight for sore eyes. This is the United flight that just arrived that will be taking us to Dulles Airport. Here are all the Peruvians disembarking the flight.
and a hazmat team getting ready to clean the plane before we board. And there's all our luggage waiting to get put onto the flight. We're walking down the tarmac to get onto the flight. Here we are, all in a nice line, waiting to climb up the stairwell so we can board the flight to the United States. And here's final view of Lima as we're leaving. Already missing the nurse's fine cooking. These are my brothers in my seat. And you can tell that we're really, really happy. This is probably the best smile we've had since we got to Lima. Sunset, and welcome to Dulles International Airport. Here is a line to immigrations in the United States. You can see no social distancing whatsoever. The next day we left to go to Atlanta, and here's the airport, empty flight from Dulles to Atlanta. Snacks are getting worse on the flight. There I am all by myself, flying over Atlanta. Look how empty that freeway is, pretty impressive. And now, welcome to Atlanta, Georgia, where my brother lives, and I will be saying goodbye to him. This is my flight to Tucson from Atlanta. As you can see, it's even emptier than the one from Dulles to Atlanta. And now, finally home, sweet home, Tucson International. The silver lining to this trip, traveling by myself in airports, spending quality time with my brother, but most importantly, being able to spend more time with my dad. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed.
Fantastic. So, Patty,
Thank you, Linda.
how much?
Yes.
Please,
That
please,
was incredible.
please tell us how much your flight home cost.
Your flight home.
Oh, dear God. The flight home was organized by the American embassy, and the one-way ticket from Lima to Dulles was over $1,300. And that was not first class, that's coach with the riffraff.
Small price
Wow.
to pay.
It was,
Patty,
you know what,
Wow.
I would gladly have paid twice as much just to go.
I loved your show, Patty. This is Therese.
Therese, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me because I wouldn't have thought about coming tonight.
You're very welcome. It was good to
This-
see you.
Glad you kept Patty.
This far exceeded any of the news media that we saw. Oh my gosh, that firsthand experience. Thank you so much for recording that and sharing it.
And
Wow.
I was, the only thing I took was my cell phone because I didn't expect to have so many wonderful photographic moments. I was only going for 5 days. My sister got out on the last flight before they closed the border. And my brother and I had decided to spend one extra day in Lima to go to our old neighborhood and and I talked my brother into going to Peru and spending time with me. So I felt a little guilty, but very grateful that he was with me.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
want to thank Linda and Holly because they're the two that helped put this together at the very beginning. And all of you need to thank Paul because he helped edit. If not, we'd still be watching this damn movie till tomorrow morning. It wouldn't have been for Paul. So thank you, Paul, Linda, and Holly.
You're welcome. We
Thank-
chopped
you, Paul.
off about 5 minutes, I think it was.
At least.
You got two chats, Patty. One from the lovely wife. Patty, I really enjoyed this. You documented a historical event that we are experiencing, along with photos of Lima. Your sunset pictures were fabulous, and the
yeah.
story of the whole thing was well done. In other words, you had to keep hanging in there, and the way it was, the way the streets were and everything. A little different than the United States, I think, at that time, most likely.
Correct.
Holly
The
said,
Peruvian government
Yeah, the Peruvian
Oh.
government didn't mess around.
Oh, no.
They
no.
got, I don't even think there were 100 cases before they closed the border down.
I wonder if they locked people up or anything, you know?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I noticed that in one of his briefings, the writing underneath, it said 35,000 people arrested.
Really? Wow, wow, wow.
So yes, yes.
Okay.
So Patty, I have one question. So
Yes.
when you left to go there were no restrictions.
Correct.
You went there with no restrictions, and then into your trip in a few days, there were all these restrictions. Is that correct?
Correct. The Peruvian government was requiring us to wear masks to enter Peru and to prove that either that we didn't have COVID. But there was nothing, there was no, just come on down, have a good time. And this is what we did. We went on down. You know what? I lie. They weren't even requiring masks then. That was my next trip.
Amazing.
No, there was nothing.
I got two other chats for you, Patty. Actually, three, it looks like. More. Holly said, glad you kept your sense of humor, Patty. Great job. Kevin May, whoever he is, I see him there. Kevin, you did a really nice job with that. I'm sure it was surreal. Wow. Linda said, Patty, thank you so much for sharing. That was very informative and interesting. And Gary said, Gary Modesto, was the reason you could not leave because of Peru not letting you leave or because the US border was closed? Why did they not want to let visitors leave? Do you have an answer for that?
Once they closed the borders, there were no flights in or out of Peru. It was the Peruvian government. The flights that were being allowed in were organized between the military, Peruvian military, the government, and the American government. So it was the flights out were organized by the American embassy in Lima. But as soon as they closed that border down, that was it. There was no planes, trains, buses. There was nothing coming in or going out.
Wow, interesting. Phil Nicolay said, I especially like the demeanor of the president and how things were handled. It was airtight.
What was very interesting is that certain parts of Peru, especially the northern part in the jungle, most of those Peruvians do not trust the government.
Really?
And that was where we were having the highest incident of COVID. And there was we were not the government was not controlling the spread of COVID, and that's why they kept changing curfew and extending the quarantine.
Interesting.
It was almost like we stopped watching TV. My brother and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be bad news."
I think Gary Modesto has his hand up. Did you have something, Gary, you wanted to say? You want to turn on your video? Gary.
Already said it in our chat box.
Oh, same? Okay. Well, very good, Patty. Interesting story that you told.
Thank you.
Okay, next person, next victim is Sherrie Lee. Sherrie, you're going to take a trip you're going to tell us about a trip you took. So give us some information. Everybody mute if you can. Looks like you are. So go ahead, Sherrie.
So our experience is after COVID has shut everything down and it's just starting to open up. And so we went to Sicily in September, and it was one of the first trips that this company was doing. We were with Overseas Adventure Travel, and it was very interesting to be traveling with all of the changes that have been brought into play post-COVID, which is really not post-COVID, it's working with COVID. And so anyway, it was a fabulous trip, and I'm really grateful that there were things in place so that we could still travel. It was wonderful to get out there and to not have Patty's experience. Though Patty, I'm really glad you got to be with your dad. But I'm really grateful we didn't get stuck. So anyway, yeah, that's, I'm gonna stop my video and mute now so you can play.
Okay, good. And I'll do the same thing. Hopefully I'll check the boxes correctly. Hold on, they're ready. Okay, ready to go with Sherrie.
September of 2021, we took an amazing trip to Sicily, including a 5-day pre-trip to Puglia, Italy. With travel just beginning to open up, we had many hoops to jump. This included our vaccination cards, several negative COVID tests, and other forms. After 24 hours of travel, we landed in Bari, Italy, where we were graciously greeted, then transported to the magical city of Matera. There just aren't words for this experience. Matera is one of the oldest towns in the world. It has been continually inhabited for 4,000 years and currently has a population of 16,000. The buildings are known as reverse architecture as they are caves carved into the mountain. Famous films include Ben-Hur, Passion of Christ, The Gospel According to Matthew, and Wonder Woman. Our tour of the town included stairs upon stairs upon stairs upon stairs. It happened to be my birthday, and what a celebration! Leaving Matera, we headed to Lecce with stops at Alberobello with their fascinating cone roofs, the outskirts of Ostuni for a delightful tour of the intricacies of making olive oil,
the best tasting test. We take a sip, swirl it around, swallow it, suck in the air twice. Sucking in the air is like when we eat it. So all the properties of the taste will come up.
and lots more stairs for lunch in Ostuni. We arrived in Lecce to another beautiful hotel, the Patria Palace. Our tour of the area began with the largest rose window in Puglia. Every detail has a story. We toured several churches with fascinating histories. And saw many ruins. A real treat was meeting a papier-mâché artist and watching him create one of his masterpieces. We flew from Lecce to Rome to fly into Palermo, Sicily, where we were quickly shuttled to a COVID testing station as they would not allow us into the island without a negative COVID test on the spot. From there, we had a scenic drive to the beautiful coastal town of Cefalù. Welcome drinks are a great start to our Sicilian adventure with our Sicilian guide and our new friends. During our 3-night stay, we toured Cefalù and Palermo. My highlights in Cefalù were hiking up La Rocca, which involved the climb through the city just to get to the base of the rock, then climbing the stone steps to the 4th century BC Temple of Diana and onto the remains of a 12th century medieval castle via a dirt rock path. at about 900 feet above sea level, and getting a Sicilian haircut. During our tour in Palermo, we visited a fruit/fish market and learned that Palermo is a major prickly pear fruit supplier. The pad is used for pigs, fiber for clothing, and fruit for liquor and marmalade. An incredibly moving experience in Palermo was meeting with the son of a former crime boss and hearing his stories of his strange and sheltered childhood, constantly on the run from the police, media, and rival mafiosi. He never went to school, made friends, or stayed in one place for very long as a youth. He never knew what his father did. He grew up like any child, looking up to his father as a man who loved him and would do anything to keep him safe. He shared about what it was like to learn the truth about his father, who was reviled across all of Sicily as public enemy number one, and how he was then branded by the sins of his father, unable to find work or function as a private citizen. Then at the end of our Sicily trip, we got to meet an anti-mafia activist and learn of the progress they have made in exposing and liberating citizens from the control of the mafia.
Italy is sempre la mia famiglia. And from 1968, his family started to grow and to live here.
Casbah is the first Arab city in Sicily. It was built as a labyrinth with short streets, with many dead ends for safety. The captain who found the satyr was fishing for red shrimp. He was surprised when the statue grabbed the net to be rescued. Our guide surprised us with the opportunity to meet the captain and hear his story.
When the moon is too high, I can be pizza che that's amore. When the world seems to shine like a dew, it's my that's amore. When you ring, tic-a-la-ga-ding, e you sing vita bella. As you ring, tip-a-da-ba-ding, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you droll, just the life pasta paso, that's amore. When you dance down the street, when it don't have you treat you love. When you work.
Agrigento is the last Greek colony founded in Sicily and home of the best preserved Valley of the Temples from 480 BC. We were treated to a delicious Sicilian lunch with a surprise. Generations, father to son tradition of Sicilian carts, each cart telling a story. These are the only known fully restored carts. We left early to beat the crowds to the Roman ruins with the largest preserved mosaics. The tiles are made of marble and the colors are natural. Then we stopped for a delightful lunch at a 7 Generations winery, now run by 2 award-winning sisters in this male-dominated industry. Our 3-night stay in Ragusa included many amazing experiences.
After the tour, our leader surprised us with another stop. His music and story moved us to tears. We got a couple hours to shift gears.
No wonder he said you're not trains outside. Oh my God, this is great.
You have to create just a bowl of cheese, a big bowl. Yeah. You know, he's doing it in a fast way, so maybe it's not perfect, but you have to understand that they have.
And now enjoying the fruit of our labor. The last leg of our trip is to Zaffarana on Mount Etna, and yet another amazing hotel. Highlights include our incredible bus driver and how he navigated the narrow, mountainous roads filled with switchbacks and traffic with such safety and skill. Our trip leader, who took care of all the day-to-day details, including numerous meaningful surprises, and the beautiful experiences in Catania, Taormina, and Mount Etna. I did not want to go to the War Museum, yet it moved me deeply. Sicilians love Americans. We saved them and so many others when we joined the fight. I am proud and humbled to be an American. This was followed by another deeply moving experience at Casa di Maria, a foster home making a difference in so many children's lives. We would be remiss to not share the incredible Sicilian food. We ate and drank very well.
When the world seems to shine like a dew, it might touch some old head. When you ring, tic-a-lac-a-ding, e you see vita bella. As you ring, tip-a-tap-a-ting, like a gay tarantella.
Well done.
Nice job, nice job.
Beautiful.
Excellent. I want to go now. Damn.
It is worth going for sure.
Oh, it looks fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, and the music, the singing, the instruments, what a wonderful
Yeah.
touch. Beautifully done.
Okay.
Definitely fun to watch it again. And oh God, it just wasn't even that long ago. And it was such an incredible trip. And I got some, I posted that on YouTube, you know, to the public, and I get some feedback that's just like, oh, you have to wear masks. No, thank you. I don't want to travel. And I'm like, what? You know, like I would not have missed that trip over the fact of needing to wear a mask when we were around a lot of people, you know? I mean, it's just, anyway.
Well, I got some chats for you. Bravo is a good word. That's from Sam Shane. Very interesting and a wonderful slideshow from Carol and Peter. Holly said, very thorough job. Sherrie, thanks for sharing. It was like being there. I thought it was interesting about the mafia son.
Yeah.
I bet you that was, how long did he talk?
It was about an hour and a half session that we had, and it was the mafia's son didn't have real good English, and there was another guy who had grown up on the same street with him that did most of the talking, who had really good English. But yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely fascinating. And there's things that he couldn't say because of his relationship with the mafia. And so Fred went, my husband Fred went up to him afterwards and asked him some very specific questions in private. And he said, yeah, he said, I'm grateful that I can be doing this presentation. It's the only way I can make any money, but there are certain things I cannot say. And so Fred was able to confirm with him some of the situation, you know, and stuff. But it was, yeah, it was so deeply moving.
Right. Well, and was he in danger?
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that's why he had to be careful on what he could share. As long as he just shared how it was to be the son of a mafia don,
yeah.
then he was okay. But if he started to go into any of the politics or, you know, he just had to be very, very careful what he shared. Yeah.
Phil, Nikolai has his hand up. Go ahead, Phil.
Just one comment. I was in Palermo. Excuse me. I was in Palermo in 1970, about 69, 70. And I appreciate hearing the feedback regarding the how they felt about Americans, because when we were down there and we were military, and I imagine our bald heads probably gave us away, but we were actually yelled at by people in the street that were hating Americans, because there was still, it was still the last place in Europe that did not had the bombing ruins removed. So I appreciate that different perspective, because that's not the perspective I walked away from or with back in 1970. So thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I was surprised as well, and it really touched my heart. The guide who was taking us through the museum on that, her family had been directly affected by that, and she was talking about how they were, you know, on the whole, they were under the regime that was anti-American, and then it wasn't until the Americans became involved that things changed for them, and they began to see, you know, how much they were all being killed and destroyed from their own country. You know, I mean, it was really humbling, really humbling. And I'm glad that my video was able to share that perspective for you. I would have hated to have been in your shoes to receive the hatred side of it. That would have been so hard.
Okay. I saw something today. This will make you think. Most of us here, did you think of 1970 as very long ago? Does it seem kind of fresh in mind?
Yeah.
It does, right? So the distance from
Not
19,
really.
the distance from 1970 to now is the same as the distance from 1970 to 1918.
Oh my
Think
gosh.
about that. I don't think it seemed long ago at all, but
Wow.
so anybody else has a comment or anything, you could turn on your video or an audio. If not, we're going to move to Kevin. Looks like this is your last chance. Oh, absolutely wonderful from Linda to everyone.
Thank you.
Kevin,
All right.
would you like to tell us what you're going to show?
Sure. This was back in September of just this past year. This was a trip up to Yellowstone. It was a 5-day trip, and it was 1 week before the park closes. They close the roads in the wintertime because of all the snow and everything. So anyway, it was primarily going to be a still photography trip. And I like shooting with a lot of sun. And the first day was really good. I was shooting some still photography and some video. Well, then the next couple of days was kind of overcast and it really wasn't conducive to shoot still photography. So I concentrated on shooting video. And then at some point I came to the realization, hey, this would make a really good presentation for Travelogue or for the multimedia class or our multimedia seg that we have on Monday. So anyway, this is a quick little trip to Yellowstone. Hope you enjoy it. And if you have any questions afterwards, please give me them and I will get them answered.
Okay, I'll turn my mute. I'm going to mute and turn my video off. We'll see. Okay, fantastic, Kevin.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Just
Thank you very much.
professionally done. Wonderful.
It's a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to shoot, and a lot of fun to edit and put together.
You did a wonderful job. Could you tell me what are the temperatures of some of those pools there?
Hot enough to take the skin off and kill you. So it's interesting how some of them they're all over the place in terms of that, but how some of the animals can even be in some of that stuff is amazing to me as well, without having some sort of chemical burn or something else. So anyway, it's definitely an interesting place.
I think I've heard of people falling into those pools or something, unless it was a rumor, but I've heard that's happened.
Yes, they call them jackasses. They get a little too close, and hey, there's people out there doing stupid things, and to not think that environment is just safe and dangerous. It's a dangerous place. So
sure.
You have to respect it and not do stupid stuff.
Well, suicidal is another term.
Yes, that would definitely be it.
Okay.
Kevin, on some of the videos, like when you were showing the mud pools where they were bubbling, or the Mammoth Hot Springs, was that actual time, or did you do some editing there to slow that down?
I think I shot that in slow motion. So the camera has the ability to shoot at a higher frame rate, and you can shoot slow motion. So definitely, so you see it a little bit better and clearer. So that definitely, for some of the stuff, I did shoot some in slow motion. That was one of the things that I did shoot in slow motion. It really made a big difference, because otherwise it's going too fast.
Right.
I assume the last shot was Old Faithful.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It wasn't as much bang for the buck as I was hoping for. You set up, I guess you never know in terms of 1 hour when it goes off, it's more powerful than the next hour. And I think we caught it an hour where it was not as tall, and so be it, whatever.
Right. Is that every hour approximately?
Yeah, they have the thing that's nice at the ranger station that's right there. They have a schedule, and depending on how long Old Faithful goes, the duration of it will determine the next time frame that it goes off. So it's usually about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on that.
Okay. You have a chat from Linda P. Fantastic work putting this together. How long do you think it took you to edit, put together, Kevin?
Oh, gosh, it's a distant memory now, but I would say it was probably a couple of days.
Couple of days.
Yeah.
Very well done.
But thank you. But it's just, to me, that's just really fun. It's like talking about, like Sherrie Lee talking about how she's reliving that trip again. And it's the same thing for me when you've come back from the trip, and now you're editing, putting it together, and you start to remember all those things from the trip. So it really does make it fun.
I like the scene of when you're walking down the road and all the buffalo were coming toward you.
Yeah, that was one in our multimedia class. People were wondering about people getting too close to the buffalo. And actually, some of that, there was a shot where there was a guy that was standing there and there's a buffalo in the background. Well, it's a telephoto lens, so it compresses the distance. Mm-hmm. But the one where the buffalo was walking down the path, the funny thing about that was I didn't even see him. There was a row of pine trees that were along the path, and the buffalo was literally right in between the pine trees. I got within 10 feet of him, and all at once looked over and was like, oh my God, and started to back up and like, wow, there's a big animal. So that shot where he's walking down and people aren't seeing him at some point, I can understand that, I guess.
They're probably even larger in person than on film.
Yes, they are. They are big, and they seem very docile. But of course, again, that jackass thing kicks in, and people think they can go up and pet them or whatever. And
oh yeah,
that's probably about 1,500 pounds of nasty, angry animal if you get them upset. So yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Sure, sure. Anybody else have a comment? Oh, Phil has his hand up.
Just a quick question. Last time we were at Yellowstone was after the fire, and I think it was a year after the fire, a year or thereabouts, and the whole covering of the land was all with brand new baby pine trees. It was like a carpet. And I guess my question to you is, how tall approximately are the pine trees overall now in the park?
There's different spots and there's been different fires throughout the years. I can remember going through the park about 20 years ago to an area that had been freshly burned. And if you go by it now, you would never know 20 years later. So the forest does grow back, and I would bet you within 5 to 10 years in a lot of places, you'd have no idea that there was a fire. Now you'd see a bunch of small pine trees, but you wouldn't really see the burning and anything like that. So yeah, I didn't really notice a lot of that on this trip.
Yeah, nature's amazing. A couple years after the fire, it already repopulated thicker than it ever probably was originally with baby pine trees. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, you bet. It's an amazing park. I can only imagine this last bit of September, or in October, I should say, is a better time to go because the park is not as busy. But I was still amazed at how busy it was. So I can only imagine in the summertime it would just be a zoo, and I'd never do that. So I think if you were going to go early when the park opens up, or wait till the end of the year right before the park closes.
Also, agree with Holly. The music was superb.
Thank you. That's part of the fun too.
I think Todd has a question.
Yeah, Kevin, the shot that you took at the lower Yosemite Falls, where were you when you took that shot? Because you really zoomed in on it.
Well, there's a lookout area. I'd have to look on the map to remember the name of that if I saw it on the Yellowstone map, but there's an overlook area that's way back. And the only bad thing about this trip was it was really windy a lot of the trip. And you're up on this overlook and you're trying to get that shot showing the falls. And the funny thing was, people were only up there for about a minute. You'd take a quick picture and then get the heck out of there because it was so cold with that wind. So anyway, and the camera is capable of zooming in pretty nicely, Todd. So that's why I'm able to get that fairly tight shot, the wide shot and the tight shot.
That was a nice shot.
Well, thank you.
And they talk about the possibility of a super volcano going off under there. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, I wouldn't want to be there when that was going on.
No, I don't think any of us would.
The project might not have gotten completed, Paul.
Probably not. You might have delayed it for a couple of weeks.
They said it would be one of the biggest volcanoes in the whole world, and that you'd feel the repercussions in the Midwest, maybe even farther. So it would not be a pretty thing for the country, that's for sure.
I think it'll change the weather.
Hopefully here in Green Valley, we'll be okay if that does happen.
Let's hope. Yeah. Okay, does anybody else have anything? Because we only have one more. And anybody have a comment for Kevin's fantastic work? It was very well done.
Thank you.
All right. The last one is Becky and I went, when we had an RV last year, we took a trip to Ajo. Anybody been to Ajo knows that there are a lot of murals there. So I'm just going to show a portion of the video, the first part about the murals and our trip to there. If I can find it. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to turn off my video. And that is it.
Nice.
Okay. Has anybody been there?
I want to go now.
Yeah. It's not a big town at all. It's got a nice town square in the middle, big area, surrounded by some shops. It says probably not over 3,000 or 4,000 at that. And there's a couple of alleys where the pictures are, and that's about all. It's kind of concentrated in one spot. It's about where Ajo is about 100, maybe a little more than 100 miles from here. Out past Kid Peak, you just keep going and turn right at WHY. And
there was a large mine there at one time, and the lady that owned Arizona Inn, she and her husband had the mine there, and they sort of established the town with more of a Spanish-looking plaza, white plaza in the town.
Yeah. Let's see, you got a couple of things. Well done from Kevin May, whoever that is. Sherry said, very moving. Thank you. Meaningful from Phil, Nicolay. Linda P, so much beautiful talent here. Haven't been to Ajo, but it's on my list. Yes, a lot of talent for sure. Thanks from Holly. We went to Ajo, nice mine and mine museum and former school building. Good drive around a little mountain something, must be town. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a nice drive over there. Route 86, Ajo Road. So.
Well, then you can also, if you go to go ahead,
sorry.
Holly.
Holly,
Drive that starts right in the center of Ajo and go up to the mine then on the mountain is just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's probably 6 miles or so, not very long. Some campsites on it. Really nice.
And there's some really deep mines there, big mines, kind of like the one at Bisbee,
There's also south of Ajo is Organ Pipe National Park, and that's a great one too. For somebody that wants to go to Ajo for part of the day and then go down there for part of the day and shoot some nature stuff, that's a beautiful park.
It'd be a good travelogue for somebody. Organ pipe would, for sure. Good suggestion. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, when we were there, Kevin, they weren't allowing people to go down to Organ Pipe because they were building the fence, the wall.
How long ago was that?
It was just last year. No, year and a half ago. Yeah, year and a half ago. And they had so much of the road torn up because of the construction and then the destruction of the wall.
And the wall.
Yeah, they had screened her that it was shot, killed. So pretty hesitant to have people in the desert that they don't know who they are.
Right.
There was shot, some immigrants in.
I think the wall builders were staying in the same campground we were, if I'm not mistaken. And then they drove down there to work. So it had to be in the fall of 20, I believe. I'm not sure.
I camped there the fall of last year, and both campgrounds were open, and both the loops that you can drive on there were open.
Good.
Oh, really? Okay. This is from Al Miller. Wonderful evening of very talented people. Thanks for putting it together. Well, there were talented people. So thanks everybody for contributing. I do have right now 2 travelogues ready that I could show starting for next month. I think Grace is going to send me one or bring one when she comes down. So if you have one that you'd like to show or share with us for either February, March, or April, bring it to the Camera Club and they'll put it in my folder and I'll download it. Okay. So I'm looking for something anywhere from usually 10 to 20 minutes, something like that, so that everybody has a chance. I like to have 4 or 5 at the most, if we can. All right. So anything else? Anybody? This is your last chance. The insult.
Yeah, Paul, I wanted to thank Phil Rock for his behind the scenes technical support, because without him, this probably wouldn't come off. So
Exactly.
thank you, Phil. Exactly.
Phil takes care of any problem that needs to be taken care of. Seriously, he is really good at it. And Kevin said, thanks for hosting. Thank you, Kevin. And thanks for everybody's contributions, and don't drink and drive.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Bye-bye.